Yes, yes. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you all. Got a couple announcements. One thing, I'm about to bring on a friend of mine here in a second. But in the meantime, if you didn't see, just posted on my Instagram that we've got Kevin Hart coming out this Thursday. Kevin Hart that I am interviewing this Thursday. Make sure you go subscribe to the School of Greatness podcast if you haven't checked it out already. I did about a 50-minute interview with Kevin, and it's pretty powerful. He gets really vulnerable. He opens up. He shares some things he's never shared before publicly, and it's coming out this Thursday. So make sure you go to School of Greatness podcast, subscribe, and listen this Thursday. And you can just go to Apple or Spotify for that. But right now, I've got a friend I'm going to bring on. See if I can find him and bring him on. My man, he is coming on right now. I did an interview with my friend Jim Quick. You see the link right here below. You see that? And he is the New York Times bestseller of Limitless. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, my friend.
Excited. It's been an amazing journey to see you crush a book launch in the middle of a pandemic, when a lot of people were, a lot of book publishers were scared to put out books right now.
Yeah.
You did it, and you thrived, and you've been giving people tools and inspiration in a powerful way with this book. And so I'm super happy you did it. People needed this. All your friends have been telling you to do this for 7 years, so you finally got it to make it happen.
Dude, you're on the top of that list. They're really pushing me forward and make me holding my feet to the coals. So thank you for that.
Of course, man.
Getting so much positive feedback from our conversation on your podcast.
Yeah,
every day get tagged.
It's been taking off, man. It's been taking off. People are loving it. I think we went for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was a long one.
And you shared, it probably could have been like 10 interviews, but I think it's starting to take off more on YouTube, audio. People are sharing it like crazy. So if you guys haven't listened to this interview, there's a link below. You can just screenshot this and go and check that out. And also, if you're here right now and you're a big fan of Jim, make sure to click the little airplane button below, right below Jim. You see a little triangle. Click on that.
Okay.
It'll share this video with your friends. And if you tag me and Jim Quick, I'm going to send a couple copies of Jim's book. I'm going to buy them on Amazon and send them to people in the next 24 hours. So make sure to send this right now, share it with a friend, and tag both Jim and myself. And I'll pick a couple people to send this book out, because you need to know this. It's about upgrading your brain, learning anything faster, and unlocking your exceptional life. How do we upgrade our brain when we're constantly under stress, though? What would you say to people who are like fearful right now? How do you unlock the brain under fear?
Yeah, and it's interesting because the brain actually shuts down during times of stress. Right. So how do you reconcile those two things? Chronic stress actually shrinks your brain. Chronic fear, we know, suppresses your immune system. There's an area of science called psychoneuroimmunology. Makes you more susceptible to colds, more susceptible to flus, more susceptible to viruses. So, all around, stress management, I think, is one of the most important things to be able to do, because it puts you in fight, flight, or freeze. And how are you going to build a life of greatness if you're frozen, or you're frightful, or you're just running away? And so in terms of how to upgrade your brain, I believe you get your brain right, your life will follow. That a negative or scared mindset will never lead to a positive life. And the goal
is,
how
do we stop being scared? It's like, okay, I know, I understand that concept, but there's a lot of things to be afraid of. My job's not there. I'm losing money. There's constant fear of more people dying. Like, how do we trick our brain? Or is it a tricking? Is it a acceptance of what's happening? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not saying deny anything that's going on in the world. Some people would just say don't pay attention to it. I don't think that's necessarily wise either. But the goal is, in my book, when you're reading it, there's a quote from a French philosopher that really sums this up. It says, life is a C between B and D. Life is C between B and D. And B stands for birth, D stands for death, and C is choice. Now, we always have an opportunity to choose what to focus on. We always have the opportunity to choose what things mean. We always have the opportunity to choose our current behavior. And I think one of the things we could do is to be able to get out of fear and keep, by the way, you know, anyone who's struggling and suffering anxiety, you know, I wish you safety and strength and, you know, sanity and security and yeah, all that stuff that you need right now. And, you know, give yourself, you know, some credit. Like, we've never gone through what we're going through right now. We're going through a range of emotions, but the planet has never gone through this. But going back to the power of choice, I believe that difficult times can define us. These difficult times can diminish us, or these difficult times can develop us. We decide. So what can we decide to do each day? We talked a little bit about it on the podcast. I would encourage people to go deep because that's so much more information there. But I would say 5 choices we can make right now to get us out of fear, to put us in a better state. Number 1, and I'll make it 5 C's, really easy. I talk about that this is a metaphor we're in right now, is cocooning. A butterfly is a wonderful symbol of metamorphosis. And right now we feel like we are cocooning. And when the caterpillar feels like it's the end of the world, it becomes a butterfly. Ooh. And so when we feel like we're cocooning, we're physically distancing ourselves. How do you come out as a beautiful butterfly so you can soar to new heights? Because, you know, part of our angst that we have is we're clinging to things in the past cycle. You know, right now we're going through an economic cycle. We're going through a big planetary cycle, political cycle. There's so many cycles that we're going through right now. And some of our stress is that attachment to what was, you know what I mean? And we do that in relationships. We do that in business. We look back. And the back, you know, in the past, that kind of stuff, you know this, it could, you know, create you where you are right now. But ultimately, we make a choice today and for tomorrow also. Yeah. So while we're cocooning, here are 5 really quick things. 5 C's. Number 1,
and make sure you guys are taking notes, because every time Jim speaks, I like to take notes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Take notes, or, you know, screenshot this. Like, think about how you're going to teach this to your family, to your friends, because you'll learn it faster, because intent matters. When you teach something, you get to learn it twice. So 5 really quick C's. First C is clarity. Use this if you want to get out of fear. One of the great things to do is use this time to clarify your life. Meaning that sometimes when we're going 100 miles an hour, we don't take a pause and say, are we going in the right direction? You know what I mean? Because we're so busy just achieving or going some, you know, script that we're used to running. But here's the clarifying question. What's most important to me right now in my life? You know, what's most important to me right now in my relationships? What's most important to me right now in my career? What's most important to me right now in my education, in my children, in my impact? And that gives you clarity, because sometimes we haven't checked in for so long, and maybe, you know, your values have changed depending on, but we're still doing the same script as, you know, we thought we were supposed to do. The second clarifying question, once you have your values and ask yourself what's most important to you in these areas, is, are my actions aligned with those values? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, how many people are spinning their wheels and they feel like they're busy or they're burnt out because they're so busy? Maybe it's just not, you know, you're burnt out because you're so busy and doing too much. Maybe you're doing too little of the things that you value in your life. And that's why you self-sabotage. You take a step forward and a leap back. And so I think clarity gives us a lot of strength. Clarity gives us power, because it leads to action.
And I think even it's so powerful now to see how distracted we are. You can check your screen time now to see, like, how many hours a day are you on your phone. If you want to launch your business or go get a new job, or you want to write a book, you could be asking yourself, okay, is this 6 hours a day on the phone helping me be productive towards writing my book? And if I had 6 hours on the computer typing or 6 hours writing, would I be getting more closer to my vision, the goals that I have? You know, am I playing too many video games? Am I watching too much news? Whatever the distractions for you, it's being clear on that and assessing the information that you have. So I love that.
And you nailed it also, because if your people are doing, like, you know, binge watching Netflix because they want to be distracted or they want to be entertained or they want to just, and then, if they're doing it by choice, then who's to judge what people do? If you know, I'm not saying people always have to be creative and just leveling up all the time, 24/7. I'm just saying that if you're choosing distraction, do it by choice, not by default. You know, and that's a great question. Asking yourself this question, like what's the best use of this moment right now? And maybe it is relaxation, maybe it is distraction. But you're right. If you're not clear on what's most important to you, you don't want to climb the ladder of success very efficiently and get to the top of the ladder and realize it's leaning on the wrong wall. You know what I mean? You get clarity on what's important to you, and so choice is really important. And I would say that, you know, again, if you feel burnt out or you feel like you're doing too much, maybe you're doing too little of things that you value, and that's why you sabotage. And I think if you want to overcome fear, which is the initial question, like how do you overcome the fear? Part of it is getting clarity on what gives you strength. You know, your virtue, your virtues, your.
I love what you said there. Burnout is not that you're doing too much; is you're doing too little of what you want to be doing.
Exactly. I always say for people, for clarity, the most important thing is to keep the most important thing the most important thing.
Right.
The most important thing is to keep the most important thing the most important things, because so many people are getting really good at things that really just don't matter to them, right? In terms of their particular, everyone's values are different. You know, it could be love, it could be growth, it could be contribution, it could be a sense of adventure, it could be security, it could be, but are your actions, the second question, after you ask, you know, what's most important to me, are my actions aligned with my values? Otherwise, you're just going to be spinning your wheels and you wonder why you're burnt out or sabotaging. And so that's number one. Would you say
it's more important to figure out values first before anything then, so that you can figure out, am I living up to a certain standard that I have for myself, or are values not that important?
Yeah, I actually put values right on top because, you know, just like our mutual friend Simon Sinek, he says start with why. You know, you go back to why. What are your values? You know, what do you hold dear? What would you do anything to protect? And those are the things, because that's what make us, we're all unique in terms of what we value the most. So how are you gonna plan your day, much less your week or your life, if you don't know what's the end game is? Like, what's going to give you satisfaction? What are the things you want your family and your friends to say about you when at your eulogy, at your funeral? Yeah. Those are the things that you're going to value, you know, the most. So why not begin with that end in mind? And even if you micro it,
yeah,
like to the day, even if it doesn't have to be the end of your life, at the end of the day, if somebody asks you, calls you up, FaceTimes you and said, "How's your day?" At the end of the day, you're like, I crushed it. It was amazing. What had to happen in order for that to happen? What are 3 things that happened? And then start your day with that in mind and build for that vision.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think people discover what their values are over time? Are they just given to them by their parents? Are we reevaluating them on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis? How do we?
If we don't check in and we go on default, you know, this is the idea of default where we never check in with our habits. Like, this book, Limitless, is all about. It's about consciousness. It's about intent. It's about not doing things. It's about doing things mindfully, right? And so it's not about being perfect. It's about advancing beyond what you believe is possible. And the starting point, though, is to be able to assess, like, what are the thoughts I'm having? What's most important to me in life? What motivates me? What gives me energy? What are the small, simple steps? What are the methods I'm using to build a business or to invest or to, rear a parent or to learn, right? And so these are taking the unconscious and we're making it conscious. We're making the invisible visible, because if we don't, then we're just going to say, oh, it's just luck and fate. You know what I mean? Because it's just who we are. And so I would say values, the best way to find your values, that they can change over time, but it usually takes a life condition outside to make it important. Like, here's an example. I had an acquaintance who just would not, it was just very unhealthy. You name what unhealthy would be, that's what they were doing daily. Nice. And all family, friends just always warning him and saying, please, and then never listened, and then has a heart attack, almost died, had triple bypass surgery, came out of it, and still went back to his old lifestyle. Just kept on just doing all the things that you shouldn't do. And then I see him on the streets a few years later, and he's the picture of health. I mean, he looked like he was younger, he was just fitter, he was just happy, had this energy and glow. And I was like, what happened? Like, you didn't do that after a heart attack. Like, what changed? And he said that something happened with him. He walked into the home, and his daughter, his young daughter, was crying and hysterics. Never saw her like this before. And when she calms down and he finds out what's going on, she said she had a dream that he wasn't going to be there to walk her down the aisle at her wedding, and see his grandchild. And then that would it changed his value system in terms of health, became top. And even after having a heart attack wasn't top, but a life condition can change your values of what you want to hold dear. And I'm saying that for racing cars, going through life, busy, we haven't checked in with our values, and sometimes they get a little unclarified or confusing. So just reconnect through journaling, through talk therapy, through meditation, asking yourself a question like, hey, what's most important to me in my life? If I was to count my blessings, what would be the top thing? So that's the idea behind clarity. It gives you power because it gets you out of fear, because it gives you a focal point, it gives you strength.
Okay, so point number 2. Before you go to point number 2, if you guys are enjoying this, make sure to share below. If you're just joining, there's a little triangle airplane thing. Click on that and share it with a friend. Tag me, tag Jim Quick on your DM, on your story. And I'm going to send a couple copies of Jim's new book, Limitless, New York Times best-selling book, to a couple people that I'll choose.
Yeah.
But you've got a few more points.
I'll repost some of my favorites too. And so I would encourage everyone to put like one takeaway. So that way at least your friends and followers and family get to see like one thing that you learned. So the second C, when we're cocooning, we're talking about coming out of this stronger, wiser, better. We soar like a butterfly and use that metaphor. First thing is clarity. Second C is care. And we've heard this before. Self-love, self-care is not selfish. And I don't just mean physical hygiene. I mean mental hygiene. Get your mind straight. We know 6 feet, distancing, sanitizing everything, washing your hands. But what about washing your mind? Just like standing guard to all the negativity and everything that's scary and dark. And again, know what's going on. I'm not saying be oblivious to what's going on, but some people, they have to admit they're indulging in it. And I can tell you why. If you're spending too much time in darkness in terms of your mind, your focus, it's because it's programmed, first of all, hardwired to pay attention to what threatens you because it's your survival. So and the media, which is a business, knows that, and that's why they say, hey, tune in at 7 o'clock or you and your family are going to die. If it bleeds, it leads. Like, you're not going to tune in for something, this many people were born and these are people going to get falling in love, and you're not going to tune in for that, but you will for that. And here's the thing, just like Instagram, and we talked about this on your podcast, that it has an algorithm. If you just like every pug post or dog post and watch every dog video, Instagram's gonna show you a lot more dogs. You're gonna think that's the whole reality, everything is dogs, because you engage and the algorithm gives you what you engage with. Well, if you're watching the news, everything that's scary, dark, and challenging, then your mind has that same algorithm. It's gonna start feeding you what's dark. And then the problem is you can't focus on everything at once. You have limited bandwidth, so you're not focusing on opportunity. You're not focusing on what you can be grateful for. You're not focusing on what is possible in your life. The control part of care, yes, we talk about in the book the best brain foods, how to optimize your sleep, how to lower your stress, how to manage energy vampires that steal your energy, all that stuff. We talk about 10 keys for mental energy to get over brain fatigue. But also a big part of it is just stand guard of what you're putting into your mind, and those are choices. Life is the C between B and D. B is birth, D is death, C is choice. So that's care. Third C, contribution. And I know this is what you're all about.
Yeah.
You and I spend a lot of our time, talent, treasure with Pencils of Promise. Mm-hmm. We've actually raised over $25,000. I donate the proceeds of this book to them, and also Maria Shriver's Women's Alzheimer's Movement. And so this book, we're donating 100% of the proceeds to build schools for young girls and boys who don't have access to education, clean water, or healthcare. But contribution is the third C. So while you're cocooning and you're alone with your thoughts, your fears, your doubts, and everything, get clarity, focus on care, and then contribution. What can you put your time, talent, treasure to make a little bit of a difference? It doesn't have to be a huge difference. I'm saying, like, hey, FaceTiming a neighbor that might be older and might be alone. It might be making some food for some frontline, superheroes, that are on the front lines there. Just anything, because that, even with me talking about butterflies, because I grew up with learning challenges, you and I, we've shared the same stage many, many times. I often do these demonstrations. We'll have 100 people stand up, memorize all their names, give me 100 words, 100 numbers, memorize them forwards and backwards and everything. But people know that I grew up with brain injury. I grew up with learning challenges, right? So I know what's possible when you train your mind. That there's no such thing as a good or bad memory. There's a trained memory and untrained memory. But I still, because I grew up with these learning challenges, my two biggest challenges were learning and public speaking. Because when you feel like you're the boy with the broken brain, like one of my teachers labeled me, that label put me in that box, became my limit. But I was fearful of public speaking. My thing back in school is I would be invisible. I would sit behind like the tall kid. I would sit behind you in class because I didn't want to be.
I would sit in the back row, so you couldn't sit behind me.
Okay. I was like, okay, so we're in a lot of the same challenges with our backgrounds with learning. But that's why I had fear of public speaking. And even to today, when I get on stages, I'm in front of a couple 100,000 people a year live. Probably won't be this year, but it would be I get butterflies. But for me to get over butterflies, is contribution. I would focus on service, and then automatically my fear disappears. And I would say contribution is the antidote to fear. When you put your attention on somebody else, you put your focus on serving, you're not going to feel that same level of fear. And so contribution can help get you out of fear. Third choice, clarity, care, contribution. And then 2 more C's. Another way of getting out of fear, or how to come out of this stronger, better, faster, soar to new heights as a butterfly. The 4th one is creativity. When you're being creative and you're in that flow, I mean, how does that feel to you? I mean, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people spend as much time there, but the future belongs to the creators. With jobs going to machines, jobs going to automations, jobs going to artificial intelligence, what they're not going to automate is creativity. When I talk about limitless, the limitless resource we have on planet Earth is human potential. The sky's not the limit. Our minds are the limit, right? There's no limitation to our creativity. There's no limit to us coming together, as a community. There's no limit to our imagination. There's no limit to human determination. There's no limit to our ability to solve problems, right? I mean, I think this would be the through line with all your guests, is they don't accept the expectations and opinions of other people. They hold that constant in their mind. They take the invisible make it visible. So how can you be creative? And people know this. It was during the Great Plague that William Shakespeare wrote some of his best works of art. Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra. It was during the Great Plague where they shut down London University, and Isaac Newton had to physically distance himself. He went home and an apple fell on his head when he was sitting out in the yard. He came up with the theory of motion, the theory of gravity. And I'm not saying we have to create that, but I mean, you could create a blog, you could create you could create your social media business, you could create, you could start writing that book, you could start doing your music, you could start doing, coming up with anything that makes you creative, it makes you come alive, right? Because the future belongs to the creators. And then the final one, the podcast, whatever you've always wanted to create. And then finally, the 5th C, while you're cocooning to get out of scarcity and scaredness. You have clarity, you have care, you have contribution, you have creativity. Last one I would say is capability. Wow, what an amazing time to level up. Meaning that you have your to-do list, which is just growing on forever and ever. But what about your to-learn list? What's on your to-learn list you've always wanted to do? On your podcast, we talked about salsa. On your podcast, we talked about Spanish. Like all those things. But now you have unfettered access to everything. We have YouTube, we have podcasts, we have speed reading. You can learn anything online nowadays. And I'm just saying that with the economy changing the way it is, as you said, the best, when you feel fear about what tomorrow looks like, fear is an emotional trigger to say, you got to prepare. You know what I mean? And the best way to prepare is you learn what subject or skill is going to help you survive and thrive today. And I would suggest, that the reason I wrote this book is it is learning how to learn. That if there was a genie who could grant you any one wish, but only one wish, you would ask for what? Limitless wishes. Limitless wishes, right? That's the hack. And if I was your learning genie and I could help you learn any one subject, any one skill, become a master, any one subject or skill, anything, coding, math, financial investment, whatever, what would you wish for? Wish for learning how to learn, because if you could learn how to learn, you could grant all your own learning wishes. You could apply that towards money. You could apply that towards management. You could apply it towards Mandarin. You could apply that towards martial arts. You could apply that towards music. You could apply that to anything. Everything in your life gets better. And so this book, which you helped encourage me to write, I should put that in the acknowledgments. But before I submitted this to my publisher, I was like, okay, the book was 100% on methods. All the methods for learning faster, reading faster, remembering names, be able to focus, concentrate, solve problems, learn languages. And I was like, before I hit send, and I send this manuscript to the publisher, will 100% of the people get results that they're hoping for if they read it? And my honest answer was no. And it was the scariest time because I didn't hit send. I went back to it. I said, what's missing here? And I realized, I'm not going to talk about it now, but the limitless model, the 3 M's we talked about on your podcast, which is mindset, motivation, and methods. This model here, which I know is backwards, this model here is the key for accelerated learning. It is the key, the framework for unlocking human potential. If you feel trapped in an area of your life where you're not making progress, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your career, whether it's your income, whether it's your impact, whether it's your learning. If you feel like you're in a box in an area, it's only 3 forces that keep you in that box, that 3-dimensional box, 3 dimension, 3 forces. And they're the same 3 forces that will liberate you out of the box. And those are your mindset, motivation, and methods. That if you think about a goal you want, think about the goal that you have in your mind. What will keep you there, like you have the great methods, let's say on how to remember names and how to network, how to do stuff. But if your mindset is, I'm too stupid, I don't deserve this, I'm not capable of it, then you're still stuck in that box. Or you can have the great methods and the great mindset, everything's possible, I'm capable of it, I deserve it, but you're not motivated, then you're stuck in that box. Or you can have the motivation and the methods of marketing or building a podcast, building a social media following, learning how to read faster, but you're only going to be able to achieve as much as your mindset allows you, that you deserve. And then so we put all three of them together, you have that middle spot, and that's the limitless state. And the goal really is, I found in the research, 28 years of teaching this, from children with learning challenges to seniors with early stage dementia. I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's, so let me make these donations for the book in her name, is that genius leaves clues. And there's a reason why, that a lot of people know what to do, but they don't do what they know. And this framework explains that. So then when you're stuck, you're like, okay, is it my mindset? Do I not believe it's possible? Or maybe I believe it's possible, but I don't believe I'm capable of it. Like maybe Lewis could do it, but I don't know if I could do it, right? Or maybe I don't believe I deserve it, right? In their mind. And then we show people a process of unlimiting throughout the entire book. And unlimiting is a term I coined of the active removal of limits in our life, that hold us back in our mindset, what we believe is possible, or in our motivation, having our purpose, having energy, breaking things down into small, simple steps, or in the methods. A lot of the methods we're using are old methods of marketing, old methods of building business, old methods for investing, old methods of health. That's why people tuned into your show and my show, because they want to learn new methods for today's world, right? Because we have old methods of reading, old methods of studying, old methods of remembering that won't get us to where we need to go. So that's the goal of the book, is to unlimit yourself and remind yourself that you are this butterfly, that while the beauty is in the butterfly, the growth happens in the cocoon. So this is an unbelievable time to be able to use this, because through the struggle of that caterpillar, that's where it gets the strength to build the wings to be able to fly to new heights. And I believe everybody has that potential. And dude, I have your book right here too.
I saw, yeah, I'm getting a lot of great comments coming in here about this. Some people saying, is this translated into Spanish and Arabic yet? Yeah. I'm not sure if it's translated yet, but hopefully in the future.
Yeah, it's been sold in over 24 countries, so they're translating everything right now. When people go to limitlessbook.com, which we talk about in the podcast, they'll actually get a 10-day audio video companion course. So it's limitlessbook.com, and they'll get a 10-day audio. For those of you like to listen to it and watch, because I want to make this the most read book of 2020, not the most bought book. Some people are really good at buying books and they sit on your shelf, and it becomes shelf help, not self-help. But the reason why you know this, because people don't read the books. They think that just buying a book makes them
smarter.
Credit. Exactly. like you're gonna sleep on it, and through osmosis, you're just gonna absorb it. But my goal is for people to read it.
Do you think we'll ever get to a place in maybe 1,000 years where you'll be able to just download something into your brain and have access like the Matrix? Is that even 500,000 years from now? What do you think?
I do, but until then, you have this book.
Because you've got to read it now.
Literally, this book has a chapter. It literally says how to read this book and how to read and remember this book and any other book. I know it's backwards, but there's a whole chapter on how to read this book. So my goal in the 10-day program that I gift for free with just people ordering the book at limitlessbook.com, I gift you a 10-day audio video course where I teach you how to focus, how to remember, how to read, how to study. So when the book arrives at your home, you're ready to go through it because you have the skill set. Here's the thing, just like anything else, you take golf or any of the people you have on your show who's expert at anything, you can't, if I don't play golf very much, I wish I did because my dad plays, my brother plays, but I'm not. But if I could play like Tiger Woods, I'd be playing all the time. But I don't do it because I'm not good at it. And that's why people don't read. Because the last time, you're not born with the ability to read, you were taught. But when's the last time you were taught to read? You were 6 years old and you're still reading like a 6-year-old. And this book will show you how to read better. And we're also going to do a book club in 2 weeks. And then I'm actually going to do this book. I take you through the hero's journey. It's amazing. It's, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, Star Wars. Yeah. And Matrix and Wizard of Oz and Harry Potter. There are 4 stages of the hero's journey. We, for free, when people go on this back.com, I go through 1 week on Zoom helping you read that section, remember that section. If you ever read a page in a book and forgot what you just read, remember it and apply it. And we're all going to do it together. So I want to make this the most read book. It's like Lord of the Rings, the one ring to rule them all. You know that phrase? You ever watch this? Lord of the Ring, the one ring to rule them all. I want this to be the one book to learn them all.
Oh, that's
this
amazing.
Book will help you.
I love
My
that.
promise for everybody is if you read this book, it'll help you learn every other book. And the reason why I'm excited about reading is because leaders are readers. When people see photos of me on Instagram with Bill Gates or Oprah or Elon Musk or, Richard Branson, we bonded over books. Like leaders read. Because if somebody has decades of experience like you do, and you put it into a book, and you could read that book in a few days, You could download decades into days. There is no bigger advantage than that. If you could read books on you get a PhD, masters in business in like a year, reading 52 books a year, right? Yeah. So anyway, I'm obviously very passionate about this.
Jim Quick is like Mr. Soundbite. If you guys are enjoying this, make sure to share it below. There's a little airplane button below. You can share this, take a screenshot of it, and post it on your Instagram story. Tag me, Lewis Howes, tag Jim Quick, and make sure to get this book. I'm going to send a couple copies out to a few people that share this out there. I just want to do a quick recap. Mindset, motivation, and methods. If you guys don't have that figured out right now, you got to check that out. In my book, page 18, he kind of starts the basics of that. So make sure you guys check this out. I have the advanced galley copy. I'm not sure what page it is in your book. Make sure you go through that. Very powerful. The 5 C's of getting out of fear, getting over the past, and getting into a greater future. Make sure you recap that. Clarity, care, contribution, creativity, and capability. That's just a few things that we talked about here. If you're just joining, we've got a full hour and 45-minute interview you can watch on YouTube or the audio, lewishowes.com/947. Jim's got an amazing podcast as well. Make sure you check out his profile. If you go up here to the top, you should see his name up there. You can click on his name. Just follow him over on Instagram as well, and you can see his podcast and link to the book. limitlessbook.com for the free download. What else should we think about before we head out of here?
No, I think we're good, brother. I want to thank you for the great work that you are. You're an inspiring force of good. You are unstoppable, force of nature. And so thank you for leading by example. I believe the life you live are the lessons you teach other people. And so everybody that's here, I honor you for this. If you're going through struggles right now, I wish you strength and security and safety for you and your loved ones. Just remember that, be kind to yourself. Just like that butterfly, we know we're all connected through the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect says a butterfly flapping its wings in LA could create a tsunami, across the globe because of dynamic systems. And we're all connected because fear is contagious. So are viruses. We know that. But so is wisdom. So is positivity. And so is kindness. And that stuff is free. So sprinkle that stuff. Yeah. Sprinkle that stuff everywhere. So be kind to others. Be kind to yourself. Remember to fall in love with that person in the mirror who's been through so much but is still standing. And that's what I would say. I would say, like, one step at a time. Don't overthink. Like, thinking is good. Don't overthink this. Don't overthink it. Overthinking and wanting things to be perfect will stop progress in its track. Ask yourself, what is the tiniest action I could take right now that will give me progress towards my goal? That's it. Just simplify it. Small, simple steps. Little by little, a little becomes a lot, right? Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's too hard. So post this. Take a screenshot of this or your notes. Tag Lewis, tag myself. And
I got my notes. I got lots of good notes from Jim.
And share on your posts, like, one thing you got out of this conversation, and let me know if you got the book. And I will repost some of my favorites also. So I really appreciate it. And if you're interested in the book, go to limitlessbook.com, and all the bonuses are there. And I appreciate you. So a couple of people are asking if we're going to save this because they missed it.
I'll share it on my Instagram. Yeah, I'll share it out there.
All right, I'll go.
Of course. I appreciate you, Jim. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate your support.
Lewis, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Of course, man. We'll talk to you, brother. Guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you get the book. Limitless. Get the book. Let me know if you got it. And I took a bunch of notes. I don't know if you took notes on the 5 C's and all the other great nuggets that he said. Again, Jim shares endless sound bites and wisdom and things that you can remember and hold on to for your life over at lewishowes.com/947, or just go to the podcast app that you like to go to on Spotify or Apple or anywhere you go to. Check out School of Greatness, and you can listen to that episode about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It's been blowing up. So go check that out. Jim Quick on School of Greatness. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys. Share this with a friend, and we'll talk to you soon.